What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman did a live stream on his social media. He took to his social media to clarify a lot of things going on and give an update on what's going on with Keith one-time Thurman these days. He says that he's currently weighing about 170 pounds. He says he's been weighing that for the last couple of months. He's looking for a date. He said undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Earl the True Spence Jr. has a date. He says former unified two-division world champion Danny Swift Garcia has a date. He says Showtime Sean Porter, two-time welterweight world champion, just fought. He had a date. He said, where's my date? Where's my promise at? I was promised a list of opponents, and I'm waiting on that. He says, but while I'm waiting on that, I'm staying busy. I'm staying active. I'm staying getting my cardio together. He says I hadn't been about 175 to 170 to 175 since my amateur days. So he says that's the best weight for me. He says now I realize and I recognize after losing my title outside of the ring due to inactivity, that being the WBC, and losing the WBA to Manny Pacquiao, 8-division world champion, legendary, iconic superstar boxer, and now currently the WBA welterweight world champion after defeating Keith one-time Thurman. He says that I would love a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. He doesn't have an opponent. I would love a fight with 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia. He doesn't have a fight. He says, but mainly I'm focusing on the fact that I need to be able to make a statement against this crop of welterweights. He says when it comes to undefeated 3-division world champion and currently the WBO welterweight world champion Terence Crawford, that's a fight I would love to have. He says I'm looking to prove a point against him. He stated that Errol Spence never beat me for my WBC title. He never earned it. He said, yes, he did beat Sean Porter. He says, but Sean Porter and Danny Garcia fought for the vacant WBC title that I had to vacate due to inactivity. So nobody ever beat me for the WBC title. So essentially, that's still my belt. And Errol Spence is going to have to beat me, to solidify the fact that he's the WBC champion, because I beat Sean Porter and I beat Danny Garcia, and they fought for my vacant WBC title. He says I beat both of those guys. So him beating Sean Porter is not the same, because I already beat Sean Porter and I never lost my title inside the ring. I agree with that. He says I did lose my title with the WBA to Manny Pacquiao, but I wasn't fully healthy. He says, I had injuries and I thought that I could push through and beat Manny Pacquiao. I was terribly wrong. He beat me. He earned it. I want to run it back to regain my WBA title. He stated that former IBF welterweight world champion Special K, Kell Brook, has contacted him numerous times about a possible showdown in the UK. He says, but Kell Brook and his team haven't sent me a contract or the pounds. And they deal with pounds over in the UK. So he said they've yet to send me the contract or the pounds. I hear this talk about Kell Brook possibly facing Terence Crawford, but it looks like Kell Brook is truly looking to fight me. So he says I offered to fight Terence Crawford, but they told me I priced myself out. He said this is a fight that I would love. I'm looking to make a statement. I'm looking to get back to Keith one-time Thurman. He says that I have no more distractions, no more injuries. I'm healthy. I'm staying in and around a great weight of 165 to 170. He says I really want to get down to 165 because that's the best weight for me to be able to have to get down to 147. So that's about 18 pounds that he would have to lose going into training camp. So he says that's nothing, that sheds off quick just working out normally, right? For a duration of 2 months, 18 pounds is not a lot of pounds to lose. So he said that, that's where he, wants to be. He said he hadn't been there in 10 years. He says, but that's where he's looking to get back to. So he's 170 right now. So he's trying to lose another 5 pounds to be around the 165-pound mark when a date is presented to him. But with that said, it was interesting to me that he said that Kell Brook and his team, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, have been reaching out to see if they could come to an agreement and possibly stage a fight in the UK with Keith Thurman. Because Keith Thurman said that he would love to go to the UK and fight Kell Brook over in the UK. He said that was a dream of his to always go to the UK, so he would love nothing better than go to the UK and beat Kell Brook over in the UK on UK soil. So oddly enough, we know that top-ranked CEO, legendary promoter Bob Arum has stated that Terence Crawford, next opponent, is looking like it was going to be Kell Brook. They were in the late stages of negotiations. It was looked like they could be making an announcement pretty soon, but there hasn't been an announcement. And when Terence Crawford was asked at the Jamel Herring fight about Kell Brook being his possible next opponent, he didn't sound too enthused about facing Kell Brook. He says that's who they said is up next. That's who they said is the front runner. So that's who they said is at the top of the list. So I guess it's Kell Brook. But he didn't sound too enthused about making a fight between himself and Kell Brook. He stated that, Kell Brook is just another opponent, just next up. So with that said, it's looking like Kell Brook is trying to seek as much money as possible. Maybe he feels like he could earn more money and could get a bigger payday fighting Keith Thurman with the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, and Al Heyman as the advisor. He's feeling like maybe Kell Brook is feeling like he could get more money than the initial $1.5 million that was offered to him from Top Rank and Team Crawford. Now it's been talked about, it's been said that they moved it up to about close to $2.5 to $3 million. So they look like they raised the bar for Kell Brook. But at the same token, if he could get a substantial more amount of money coming from Keith Thurman, it looks like that's the avenue Kell Brook is trying to pursue. It looks like Kell Brook is double dipping at the moment, and Kell Brook is trying to get the biggest payday possible that he possibly could land currently right now. So Kell Brook is going to the highest bidder. It seems like he's auctioning his services off for a cash out fight. But this is the situation. If Kell Brook is to send Keith Thurman a contract, like Keith Thurman is stating, telling Kell Brook, send me a contract and the pound's over, I'll gladly come to the UK. Where was that leave Terence Crawford, right? Terence Crawford is still without an opponent. Terence Crawford is being reported to grace the square circle and make his ring return. November 14th is the target date that they're looking at. But he doesn't have a name opponent yet. He's widely considered the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, and heavy is the head that bears the crown. So obviously people want to see Terence Crawford in the ring with the best of the best. Point blank and period. Nobody wants to see him in there with mismatches. So where was that leave Terence Crawford? Because all of the credible welterweights would be off the table, right? You would have Keith Thurman and Kell Brook facing off, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. That would leave Sean Porter. Now, Sean Porter has become Terence Crawford's #1 challenger for his WBO title. And Team Porter, Kenny Porter, manager, trainer, and father of Showtime Sean Porter, stated that that's the fight that they want. They've been seeking out a fight with Terence Crawford if they can't land the opportunity to fight Errol Spence in the rematch. So they said that that's the fight they want. Also, Kenny Porter stated that he feels like Bob Arum is pricing guys out of the fight with Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford needs a big name to validate himself at the welterweight limit. This is what Kenny Porter said. He said, and what better opponent would be than us to prove your point that you belong here in this division. So Sean Porter also stated that he met and talked with Terence Crawford, and that Terence Crawford told him he had other plans. So a fight was off the table between the two. And he told Sean Porter that he would revisit the opportunity, the possibility of facing Sean Porter should his plans fall through. Well, now the plans have fell through because there's no viable option for Terence Crawford if Kell Brook decides to go the route of Keith Thurman, sending Keith Thurman a contract and making a fight with Keith Thurman. What plans do you have? The Manny Pacquiao fight was being negotiated, and Manny Pacquiao now has decided that he does not want to compete in 2020. He's going to wait till 2021, so he's off the table. So what opponent, what options does Terence Crawford have? Fighting Sean Porter now will give you, Sean Porter fought in August, so Sean Porter would be ready for November. Sean Porter is always in shape. He never out of shape, so he have to get in shape. So he's always in shape. He's ready right now. He just fought in August, so he'd be available for November. With that said, on top of it, it would be Terence Crawford, getting rid of two birds with one stone. That would be his mandatory WBO challenger in Sean Porter. Sean Porter is ranked #1 in the WBO, and on top of it, it's a huge legacy fight, and it's a credible opponent. For him to be able to prove that his worth, right? Prove that he deserved to wear the crown of being the best pound for pound fighter in the world. I would love to see the adjustments, because he would definitely have to make some adjustments dealing with Sean Porter's style, his pressure style, his relentlessness, and his activity in the ring. And Sean Porter's a dog, so he would definitely have to make some, adjustments dealing with Sean Porter. With that said, back to Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman stated that also that he wanted to fight Errol Spence. That's #1 on his list. He knows that, there was a time when, that wasn't the #1 fight on his list, but now he knows this is the #1 fight on his list. And he dropped the ball, essentially is what he said. He felt like he was going to go into a fight with Errol Spence in an undefeated unification bout. He said, but obviously he dropped the ball, losing to Manny Pacquiao. There's no shame in losing to Manny Pacquiao, but he did. Now he has a loss in the L column, right? And so the mega fight he thought it was going to happen with Errol Spence has kind of went by the wayside, but he still wants to fight Errol Spence. He said, I want to fight Errol Spence, win, lose, or draw. That was the big fight for me. That was the mega fight for me, and I let it slip away. He hasn't earned the WBC title, so what better way for him to validate that he's the WBC champion by fighting me, because I already beat Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. They fought for my vacant WBC title that I had to vacate due to inactivity, due to injury. So Errol Spence validate himself by fighting me. Keith Thurman has a point there. I think that Errol Spence would be too much for Keith Thurman stylistically. It's a great fight because Keith Thurman utilizes the ring. Keith Thurman has power, great boxer, high ring generalship, great movement, great athletic ability. So that would be a huge test for Errol Spence, having to cut the ring off and deal with Keith Thurman counter punch ability, Keith Thurman boxing ability, and his power. So Errol Spence will not just be able to just mow down Keith Thurman, but Keith Thurman does fade, and he has a glaring weakness when you go to the body. And Errol Spence has a relentless body attack. So I think that Errol Spence would eventually stop Keith Thurman by the 9th, 10th round, right? That's just my opinion. I just think that Errol Spence's strength is Keith Thurman's weakness. Keith Thurman has a weakness of going to the body, taking it to the body, and Errol Spence that's his greatest attribute, is going to the body. So, I favor Errol Spence in that fight. That would be a heck of a fight. So Errol Spence has options, right? So we just got to see how everything unfolds. Obviously, Errol Spence has a huge fight that Keith Thurman says he's favoring Errol Spence to win against Danny Garcia November 21st. We got to see how that plays out. And I'm excited to see how this whole welterweight landscape unfolds. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.